Yo, Cool Eyed Man the Bull here, and today I'm going to be throwing all 10 anime series I've seen, along with all the movies I've seen, and be putting them into a tier list. So, yeah, let's hop into them. Okay, so for my first anime, Attack on Titan, this is my favorite anime. It is incredibly good. I rate it 10 out of 10. It's not flawless. There are a lot of interesting parts, a couple of boring parts. The ending was, I don't know what to say about the ending. I enjoyed it for what it was, but there were parts of it that I didn't really enjoy. And, well, just as a whole, I love this show, so it's a 10 out of 10. It's going top of S tier. Eren as a protagonist is very interesting, and he's a lot more interesting than almost every single other protagonist in the other 9 series I've seen. Alright, the next anime that I watched, coming right out of Attack on Titan, was Sword Art Online. And this was one that I wasn't really that big of a fan of at all. And this is my one and only F tier. I only really got through the first arc. The first 14 episodes felt like a slog. And when I went online and looked at how weird this series would get as it went on, I just said no. The first 14 episodes were a slog enough for me, and so I just dropped the show. It's actually the only show that I've dropped. Yeah, that's a definite S tier. I mean, that's a definite F tier. um, yeah, Death Note. This is an A tier. No, not an S tier. An A tier. Death Note was it was good. Death Note, at least the first half of it, was really, really good. I really enjoyed L's and Light's dichotomy, and their chemistry, and L's death was probably when the show went from a 9 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10. The second half was still really good. I enjoyed it, but I think that L should have probably been kept alive. Because the smartest detective in the world is getting replaced by a random 10-year-old felt very, very forced. Like the author needed an ending, so he threw Nier in there and was like, alright, here you guys go. Here's a good ending. Yeah. Nothing show ruining at all. Definite A tier for me. Cowboy Bebop. Oh no. This is B tier. Anyone who watches this, I feel like some of you will hate me for this. This is a definite B tier because it's so fucking close to an A tier. I swear to God. Ed, that annoying child, that annoying little child creature thing right there, the child. I do not like her character at all. I was really hoping for a more jazzy, I guess, tone, something more like a gangster type tone, and really, I really only think that Ed had one good episode, and that's the episode where her and I go out and there was they went into the desert and fed the crew some shrooms. That was fun. That one was fun. But the rest of her character was just very boring, very loud, and I wasn't a big fan of that. And I love pretty much everything. I love a lot about this show, but Ed brought it down from the bottom of A to the top of B. Cyberpunk Edgerunners. This one's really good. This one's really good. This one is above Death Note. I said above Death Note. That was the 5th anime that I watched, and I actually knocked that one out in like 2 days. I figured that I had a bunch of time to kill. It was the weekend, so I just powered through that, and goddamn, that was so good. David as a protagonist was really good. Rebecca was amazing. Pretty much everything about this series was fantastic. Not quite S tier, but this is definitely great A tier for sure. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, um, A tier, top of A tier. I loved a lot about this show. I love how the alchemy as a power system was really, really interesting. I think that that's a power system, anyways. I love how the fights felt very, very. What's the word I'm looking for? Well choreographed, I guess. It felt like pretty much everyone involved had something to do. And besides that final fight, where spoilers by the way, when Ed and everyone else is ganging up on what's his face, it really just felt like they were just like a bunch of Gokus all powering up on the antagonist, and it was very, very boring. So, but the show as a whole, it's definitely A tier. I loved a lot about it. Fire Force, this is C. This is not great. This is not good. I didn't really enjoy a lot about this, but its soundtrack was a banger, and the sound effects were satisfying as all hell. I don't know how they managed to make sound effects satisfying, but they did it. So congratulations to the Fire Force guys. Shinra's pretty cool as a protagonist. He isn't my favorite. That's how a lot of the characters are in this. None of them really stood out. A lot of them were like cool, but not like really good. Next up, Soul Eater. This is an A. No, that's not a B. This is an A. Do I want to put this above? I want to put this below Edgerunners, but above Death Note. This was really, really good. I really enjoyed the whole vibe of the show. I really enjoyed all of the characters and the concept of Meisters and their weapons. Yeah, this show was it was legit. It was a really good show. I enjoyed it a lot, and I will probably be getting the manga at some point because I hear that that it's even better in the manga. Well, I'm not sure if I've heard that it's better. I've heard that it's quite different, and it goes on for a lot longer. So I'll probably pick that up at some point to see what that's all about. Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's my 9th anime series. This is S tier. This is definitely S tier. A tier is for like great shows. S tier is for like boundary breaking shows. Shows that I love. And Evangelion is definitely one of those. Shinji, as much as people online may whine about him, well, some people obviously, not everyone. As much as some people may whine about him, they would be pissing their pants if they were in his situation. Shinji in the show is amazing. He is more human than a lot of the other characters in this. And that goes for a lot of others. Asuka, until like episode 22 or something, was fairly annoying. But then episode 22 came rolling down, and I was like, oh shit. Yeah. Shinji was great. Gendo was interesting. A lot of the characters were, like, either amazing top tier, or they were just sort of there. And, as for the plot itself was fantastic. It started off as Monster of the Week. The first, 14 or so episodes, I was, asking myself, is this any good? Is this legit good? Did everyone lie to me? What's going on here? And then it started getting a more psychological horror aspect of it. I'm not even sure if it's psychological horror. It's definitely psychological. And it got into the second half of the show, and I loved it. I loved every single second of that second half. Up until, like, I don't know, episode 18 and on, I think, I started to just love that show, and that propelled it in S tier. The last two episodes, very underrated as an ending for Shinji as a character, as opposed to just an ending to, like, the lore and whatnot. I really liked it. And where did I put you? Alright, my first movie on the list, End of Evangelion. This is gonna remain at the bottom of S tier. I loved this movie. Well, I mostly loved this movie. They had a major character assassination with Shinji. He went from likable, he went from whiny but likable, he went from human to just fairly irredeemable. I mean, first of all, you have the infamous hospital scene, and then you have him just breaking down in the middle of an invasion, and spoilers, but him just like breaking down in the middle of an invasion. And I just really did not like him in this movie. In the show, he had my sympathy, he had my respect. In this movie, he lost pretty much all of it in the first like scene. But yeah, I love the majority of this movie still, so it's going at the bottom of S. But for the assassination that they did, it's staying at the bottom of S. Evangelion 1.0. Okay, so this is my next movie on the list, and in fact, most of the movies here are from Evangelion. So this is basically just sort of a remake of the first like 6 or so episodes of the show, but it's Gun. But it's good. It's done really, really well. Yeah, it's Gun. Good and done mixed together. Gun. It's Gun. Yeah. Yeah. This is. You just don't have very many words for it. It's good. It's sort of a mix. It was sort of just like a rehash of the first 6 episodes of the show, but condensed down into an hour and a half. And I enjoyed it. I just found it to be like, alright, yeah, I've seen this before. Did they have to pay money to watch this in the theater? No, I just meant like, imagine going to theater to just see the first 6 episodes of Evangelion rehashed and condensed. I'm not sure if I would pay, like, well, no, this came out in, I'm not thinking in 2007 standards for money, I'm thinking in 2023 standards for money. In 2007 standards for money, I might have gone and seen this in the theater. I guess I just don't have much to say about this. It's certainly one of the movies of all time. It's just something that I've heard is that it's a remake but done well, and that's sort of what this is. And that's all there is to it, really. Beautiful animation, though. Beautiful artwork. Evangelion 2.0. This is... yeah. I'm gonna put that right there. So, Evangelion 2.0 is amazing. I really loved it, I really did. Especially that ending. This is where the rebuild movies break out of the original plot, well, in a major way. Like this sort of starts out similar, but not really. And then it just sort of completely breaks out during the ending. And I really enjoyed the changes that they made. This is definitely S. 3.0. This is gonna go. This is gonna go middle, or I'm gonna put this bottom of 8 here. I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed this movie a lot. I hear this movie is very divisive. I enjoyed this movie for what it was. I really did. I really liked Kaworu's. I really liked how his role was enlarged. I really liked how we were sort of thrown in with Shinji, and they did a very good job of creating this sense of confusion, this fish out of water scenario. And what's even scarier and sadder is that it's with people that he already knew. So, yeah. And then the ending sort of felt like a. I'm not quite sure how I'd say that I felt like this movie was. It felt sort of like a rehash of the second ending, like, oh no, he's gonna do it, oh no, he didn't. So yeah, this movie goes at the bottom of A. I didn't, this isn't like a masterpiece of a movie, but it was still very good. It was great, I loved it. Evangelion, I'm just gonna call this 4. This is gonna go right around here, maybe? I enjoyed this movie. It basically included the weird drug trip stuff from End of Evangelion without the character assassinations. By God, I love that. I really, really enjoyed this. This is not just an ending to the rebuild films, but to Evangelion as a whole. And I really, really hope that Hideki Anno doesn't really do anything with the rest of this and just sort of leaves this as it is, because this is a very cathartic ending to the series, probably especially for someone who's been watching since the original show came out. And yeah, that's a great ending. I love it. Alright, for the last series, we have Konosuba, and I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put that actually. Alright. I think that I'm gonna put this at the either at the bottom of A or at the top of B. I'm gonna put this at the top of B. Yeah, the top of B. I enjoy this series. I found it actually no. I'll put this in the middle of the road. I enjoyed this, but occasionally I found it to be not very funny. And since the series in general doesn't do plot very well, and it doesn't really do action, doesn't do action very well either, it's very much reliant on its comedy since there's no drama involved. So when it's not funny, it's boring, but when it's funny, it's absolutely hilarious. So it's middle of the road. Oh, and the cast does a very good job of bouncing off against each other. Great chemistry. Alright, here's the Konosuba movie, Legend of Crimson. This is for the first half of it, I really enjoyed it a lot. It felt very slice of life. I really enjoyed sort of getting to know Megumin's backstory a bit more. Well, not necessarily backstory, but like home life a bit more. I really enjoyed how funny the first half was. By the time I get into the second half, it's basically just sort of an action scene and lore. The lore was alright. I found it very interesting how there was this reveal that as far as I can tell, Megumin's people are basically just like genetically created, like lab grown or something. It's interesting, but beyond that, action is this series does not do action very well. So when it's just like a 20-minute action sequence, it's very boring. So yeah, this is, I believe, my finalized tier list so far of the first 10 anime series that I've seen, plus the movies I watched on the way. And that's it. See ya.